and was looking through reviews, and I had to scroll really far down for somebody to like point out the issues with the story, and everybody else says, it's just good fun. It's like a spectacle. It's a thrill ride.
I was going to actually ask, do you actually think that we're the problem in terms of, so many of these movies that we've discussed have actually, I won't say so many of these because there have been some like flops across the year, but like there's been a few unexplainable sort of movies where the story hasn't been great, but they've received really positive audience reviews. And is it a case where there's like been a period where sort of story hasn't been the forefront of sort of what people have been looking for when going to the movies, so that when they're actually creating these movies, the primary thing isn't to tell a good story. The primary thing is to entertain in a different way. And these things kind of go in cycle, and it feels like that's what was kind of maybe rewarded for a set period of time, especially kind of like in the Marvel era, where a lot of the stories weren't super deep or super like sort of intricate or whatever. They were still kind of like good, serviceable stories, and there's a lot of good movies in there as well. But it just seems like the audience are reacting differently in terms of sort of what they enjoy on the screen. And I feel like the studios have been trying to cater to that whilst neglecting telling a good story. And I feel like we might get to a point where it kind of like comes to a head and they need to kind of like change course and like start to kind of like change what they prioritize when sort of choosing how to sort of best entertain the audience.
I do maintain that the things that really are successful and that define the industry and the genres they're in, like any really big success that comes out of nowhere and just gets success on its own merit, so it doesn't coast on an IP or brand or nostalgia or something, but that actually resonates with people and gets big, fundamentally rests on a good character. I really do believe it. I didn't see Inside Out 2, but everything I've heard about Inside Out 2 tells me that it really gets to people on an emotional level, right? Because it really tells the story about this one person and her emotional journey and stuff like that, right? And it's not just like bright colors and wacky jokes. I don't think anything really becomes really big just by being entertaining in that sense. I think movies like this can work either just they burn out quickly because it's something for people to watch, or it kind of rides a nostalgia train, but that nostalgia was earned by characters in the first place. I really do believe that. Like, that's kind of why it's one of my litmus tests for what a really good movie is. Because that what catapults you to the upper level. If you have those kinds of characters that people really care about. Like Lord of the Rings is nothing without Frodo. The MCU is nothing without Tony Stark. Hunger Games is nothing without Katniss. Alien is nothing without Ellen Ripley. The list goes on, right? Like every big story that people care about rests on characters, at least one.
That's why I agree with you. And what I was saying is that it feels like we're in an era where people have seen the success of sort of those movies that you've listed there, but they don't understand the essence as to why they were successful and are just doing things that they feel audience will react to well. And in some cases, the audience do react to it well in terms of sort of like, the Venom movies. I've never understood how the Venom movies have made the amount of money that they've made, but for whatever reason, people, continuously go out to see the Venom movies. And if it feels like, like I 100% agree with you. Like, you're not going to build a brand new franchise off of sort of telling a bad story of a character that no one can sort of completely like resonate with and this and the other. You need that foundation. You need that story and that sort of character to build that foundation, to kind of like build that emotional connection to with that character. But it just seems like what we're getting at the moment is a lot of movies that are again built on sort of what's come before. That's why we're getting so many sort of like IPs being dug up. Like even this movie Gladiator 2 is an IP from 24 years ago that they've like dug up and sort of made a second movie about, just because of sort of people's emotional connection with the first one. They've like turned it into a spectacle without kind of having the same respect of the story and the same respect to sort of the character of Maximus, which made him sort of so popular initially, which is what I'm saying. I feel like eventually we'll leave this era where we're so kind of like focused on, or like they're so focused on just like providing the wrong kind of entertainment, and hopefully we go back to sort of that story and that character being the forefront of sort of what these studios are trying to sort of put out, and what's actually being rewarded.